Welcome to Between the Lanes, episode number 72. I'm Ron.
And I'm Shane.
And this is our 72nd episode. I think we've both recovered from Christmas. So here we go. You can find us on YouTube. Slot Racer is the channel. 72 episodes up now. How-to articles, some special episodes. Find us on Facebook. Between the Lanes is the page. And we're going to go with last week's race results. Wasn't a lot of racing last weekend, but here's your winners. The Texas Retro Series raced at Dallas Slot Cars on the flat track, which that's the only track they have there now. So, in the Can-Am class, Rusty was your winner with Dave Barry second and George Mikas in third. F1, Dave Barry was the winner. Flip the picture there. And George was second, and then Rusty was third in F1. And Fast Alley Raceway and Fast Tracks in Fremont, Ohio, little small 6-lane track at Dennis Murray's house. They had I think it was $100 to win dirt late model race with 4-inch dirt late model bodies. Broston FK Motors. Anyway, Dennis Murray was the winner. Elmo was second. Keith Nelson, the second, was third.
Elmo looks weird with a hat on.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah, I looked. I was like, "That Elmo?" And I was like, "Yeah, it is."
That's Elmo. He doesn't have his Superman shirt on either.
I'm used to him without a hat on. You know, it's like people see me without a hat. They're like, "It just looks different."
Yeah. So the OCC, which raced last weekend, and I didn't have the stuff ready for the show last week, so we will give credit where credit is due. We don't have a photo of the GT1B podium, but Dennis Clark was your winner. Kit Henry was second, and Craig Scharfenberg, the hippie, was third, and they ran GT1 class up on the hill climb there at HMS. And in GT1A, Cap Henry was the winner. Eric Shirey second. Bud Bardos was third, and they do have that photo. And then Group 10 in GTP was held on the King track, which is in the background there. In Group 10, Cap Henry was the winner. Mike Lear was second. Eric Shirey third. And then GTP, Cap Henry made the sweep by winning GTP with Jason Dennis in second and Justin Porter third. And before I say chicken, winner, chicken dinner, winner. Also last week there was a Snowball 500 at Boogie Speedway, celebrating 28 years in business now. The only thing I know about that race, local racer Rick Sloan won the Can-Am race and set a new lap record. Didn't see any other results or photos. And the SCRA was at Buena Park Raceway. And no photos there either, but Dale Yamashita was the winner in F1. Sam Rackham was second. Gary Donahoe was third. And in Can-Am, Dale Yamashita won his second race of the day. Duran Trujillo was second, and Alex was third. So.
Sunday.
Okay, so this weekend, the 29th, we got the Alpha Holiday Classic, which is a wing car race at Alpha Raceway in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. And also it's the King of the Slots drag race at Mid-America Naperville, bar and no bar classes.
Who did those posters?
I don't know who did this poster.
There's a couple of them that I like the way they look.
Okay. You don't know who did this.
I was wondering if it was Ralph or if it was someone else, because I've seen a couple of them floating around, not just for this event. And I like how they're set up. They look like the real deal. You know what I mean? When you look at them, you're like, is this a real race or is this slot cars? And then you read it. It's like, oh, it's slot cars. All right.
Yeah. And then, so before I talk about this race, I kind of got ahead of myself here. The following weekend, January 5th, we got Penn, Ohio at Mark's Model World. Got the Midwest Slot Car Series at Columbia City Raceway, Midwest Flat Track Series at Mid-America, Naperville, Crosstown Challenge Hard Bodies are at Mid-America, Naperville. The Ohio Oval Series is Sunday, January 6th at Race-O-Rama. And Retro East is at Fast Tracks in Pennsylvania. And then January 12th, we've got the first annual Retro Hill Climb Showdown, which is for retro Can-Am F1 cars and stock cars. And that is Southern Colorado slot cars. We got the NorCal Series Enduro Race. That's a yearly event. ORS is at Mark's Model World. The Mid-America Hard Body Series is at Chicagoland. Central Illinois Slot Series is at Bloomington, Mid-America, Bloomington, Illinois. And the USCA is at Chicagoland Raceway. And we have the FNRS race at the Slot Car Track Concord. And then the following weekend, January 19th, we got the Hillbilly Nats at Slot Cars R Us, White House, Tennessee. The Ohio Challenge Cup is at Tom Thumb in Columbus, Ohio. JPM Hard Body Series is at Thaser in South Bend. And we got Retro East and the Gator Retro Racing Region in action on January 12th. And also that weekend is the Ultimate Winter Challenge, which is the drag race at Innovative Slots. $295 weekend entry with $20,000 in cash and prizes. So interesting to see how big a race that might be.
It'd be cool if someone went live from it just to kind of show the pit.
Yeah, I'm sure some of them probably will. Okay, so on the move this week, we're going to settle this once and for all.
I know where this is going. Yep.
So I got a message from Keith Bernstein, and he's like, the track is in storage at the Viper Pit. So the tri-oval with road course that was at the race place and down in Daytona, Florida, is at the Viper Pit in Thomasville, Georgia. It will be set up and in operation soon. How soon, I don't know, but this track is in Georgia now. It's over. End of discussion.
Been there one time. You ever been there?
Nope, never been there.
No.
And the King Cobra at the Slot Car Track Concord, home of the 2019 USRA Scale Nationals. Other than needed some striping and braid and rewired, it looks like a brand new surface. It's been reworked, and it has a light gray epoxy surface now, which I like them better in black, but
Right. I've raced on a white, black, or
yeah,
So,
because this track's always been black every time you've raced on it. So,
well, it's actually been like a dark green. I always thought it was black, and then I think Walker or Randy was like, "That's not black. That's kind of a greenish color." And then whenever he was working on it, he sent me some pictures of some work that he was doing. And I guess where he kind of skimmed the top layer at one point, the track was kind of the grayish normal color that some people are used to. Yeah, because I talked to him for like 2 weeks, and for those 2 weeks, every other day, it was, well, I might go this, and I told him, I was like, you don't know what you, he's like, I really don't.
So he had some videos up and stuff showing what they've done to the track and before they painted it and after they painted it, and they put
That's what the lights off.
A lot of love and attention went into this old beast. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think he worked on the track surface for close to 2 to maybe 3 weeks.
So.
Yep. Now you remember one of the shows? You can hear him in the background working on it. We had to tell him to quiet it down.
Yep. And before we go back to the other screen, we've got some giveaways from Mid-America products. Some lead wire. I guess Roger must have some new lead wire.
That's cool.
Can't tell you anything about it because I haven't seen it. But he said he would give 3 packages of it away this week. So, Merry Christmas. Belated Merry Christmas. So, you know what? We'll just draw a winner right now. Mid-America.
Let's go for it.
And you will contact Mid-America, Roger. So, Charlie Reisner is our first winner. Mid-America lead wire. Charlie Reisner. And these are the leftovers that didn't win anything last week. So,
One and done?
One and done for now.
Okay. You got what, 3 packs now too?
I have 2 now to give away.
Okay.
So, no real topic to talk about on tonight's show because it's kind of been a quiet week with the holiday and all. So, but I did get, well, I had an interesting message which I was telling Shane about. And this was posted to the last week's episode. And it was from a guy named The Metal, which I do not know who this is.
Yeah, I don't. You said
So
it
he
was on
says,
YouTube?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
So he says, so Cahosa gets thrown out because they can't meet the discount to distributors. But a guide shoe that is only available from the cottage industry maker is legal. WTF. Rule on shoe should be commercially available and unmodified except for rod inserted in post. Okay. So I really don't have any comment on that other than, for one, the USRA does not require that guide flags be submitted, nor do they require that they be commercially available. And if someone out there wants to sell modified guide flags, they're welcome to do that. I guess if raceways have a problem with that, they can not allow them to run. And as far as USRA is concerned, the only rule, like Shane brought up, that they have about guide flags is only 1 per car. So I appreciate the comment, but and I don't know if you're looking for an opinion, but the facts are the facts. I mean, the USRA doesn't
Yeah.
doesn't require
Like,
guide flags to be submitted nor approved, so
Right.
they are legal to run. And I mean, over the years, racers have modified guides in one way or 10 other ways, but I mean, I've never seen a case where someone's shown up with a guide that only they had or they could get. Or
Right.
now there could maybe be a ruling on that, even though there's nothing in the rule book that says they could rule on it, but that's never really happened. And
Well, I still remember the first time I seen the Red Fox guides, the new, I call them the extended guides. That was
right.
what was that, Rogers? I think Tony Moore had one on his car, and he was like, "Yeah, we got these." I think that was the year they had the Worlds in Prague, maybe. I can't remember the
Yeah, I
date.
think because it was 2 years ago.
And then after the scale race, Gugu came down and was congratulating me, and I was like, "Well, hey, check this out!" And I was showing him the car because it was one of his Red Fox setups. And he
Right.
got looking at it, and he's like, "Oh, you don't have my new guide." And I was like, "I knew nothing about it." He gave me a couple of them, and it was, nothing was, like I said, nothing
Right.
was said. So I was just like,
Right.
okay.
So yeah, in the Cahosa situation is a totally different situation that is covered by the rules.
Right.
So, we have one thing that's covered by the rules, another thing that's not. So, but you can always become a USRA member, and you can always propose a rule change.
Yep.
And if it goes past the BOD to the appropriate nets to be voted on, it will be voted on. So that's how you get change in the USRA. Or you're supposed to get change in the USRA that way.
Right.
Anyway, so then I had another racer call me about controllers. And I didn't really give it much thought when he called and was explaining what was going on. And he wanted to talk about ohms, but yet we don't really talk about ohms and controllers anymore.
Right.
Okay, so like we changed, well, depends on what type of controller you have.
Right.
Chips. So the problem is he went from one type of motor in a car to another type of motor. And his sensitivity wasn't right. Let's say, okay, like, or his chip
No,
was,
yeah.
because he's not using an ohm controller. So he's like, well, if I go from this motor to this motor, should I use more ohms or less ohms?
Right.
Okay, so it's like, well, you should have went to a slower chip. what compared to for the motor you were running,
Right.
the motor you went to, you needed to put in a slower chip or a higher number chip, which the chips in a DeFalco in their numbering system is similar to ohms. Because
Right.
if you want a faster acting response, you go to a lower number chip. Okay, like I have chips that are 148, 113,
Yep. 78.
89,
Yep.
78. I got
Yeah.
a 136 in there too. So um, generally, with most motors and most types of cars that I race, I usually use a 78 or the 87 chip. Like with retro cars, I might run a 78 with my Can-Am and a 89 with the F1 car.
Right. Just
And I
settle
got,
it down some.
yeah,
Gotcha.
okay. And then like if I go like from a ProSod FK motor in a flexi car to a say a Hawk 7 type motor or a Hawk 7 motor,
Hmm.
then I would probably go with a 136 or 148 chip because those motors seem to have a lot more um, bottom
Zip.
end. They just
Right.
accelerate a lot quicker, spool up quicker.
Right.
So with the lower number chip, it's like an off-on switch. And with the higher number chip, I get a little more drivability. So like back in the day, before we had all these controllers with sensitivity knobs and stuff, okay, we just,
Yeah.
wire wound resistors. I
Yep.
mean, a big option was to have an adjustable brake. Okay, so, basically, there was like 8/10 of an ohm and 1 ohm and 1.5 ohms and 2 ohms and 2.5 ohms and 3 ohms and 4 ohms and 7 ohms, and it goes up. Okay, so like, HO guys, they use a lot of like 45, 60
Yeah.
ohm controllers. Home set cars would use maybe those or maybe even higher ohms. But when it came to like commercial slottery, okay, like when I started racing in my first car was my Womp Womp, I had a 7 ohm controller. Okay, so like I remember the economy controllers were made in 7, 10, 15, I think 20 ohms. But I don't remember really. I can remember I had bought a 7 ohm, and I think I tried a 10 ohm, and it was just too mushy.
Right.
And someone
You
was like, "Want
saw.
to try this 4 ohm controller?" And it was just like way too.
Yeah.
So 7 ohm is what worked. And then when I started racing cars with like either hand wound or not, well, yeah, hand wound, rewound armatures, because we had a class that allowed you could wind your own armatures. We had a local guy that did that. Or we were running like Mira 12s or 15s or maybe Mira 20s. Then 2 ohm is what worked. So
Right.
excuse me. So
Started. That's what we would use as the 2 ohm.
so I remember, like, okay, now I've got different classes of cars. I got two different controllers, my 7 ohm
Right.
and my 2 ohm turbo. But I couldn't use my 2 ohm turbo with my WAP. I mean, you just couldn't drive it.
Right.
So eventually, excuse me, I pretty much graduated or gravitated towards, wing cars. And when I started racing wing cars, so like in 83, 84 is when guys started running the external resistor controllers, where the resistor got replaced with a contact pad up in the frame or the handle, and the resistor hung down on the wires. And they were a wire wound resistor about 6 to 8 inches long.
Right.
And you could, and like your first contact coming off the brake would go to the higher side of the 2 ohms, like maybe it might be 1.8, and then your second band would go to like say 1.2 ohms. So you'd have a curve,
Right.
but you can always unsolder those wires and adjust.
Right. How you wanted
I
it.
never did that, okay, because that was way above
Yeah.
my head.
That's like the
So,
DeFalco controller that has like the little dials on the back of it that you can adjust with the screws.
right.
Yeah, I had
Okay.
one of those.
So
A friend let me
then,
use his, and it was just like,
So external resistor controllers with an adjustable brake that was like big time technology.
Right.
And then in the early 90s, 91 or so, um, two things happened. The Ruddick controller came out, which was the first transistorized controller, which had no ohms. It had a sensitivity adjustment,
Right.
which that sensitivity adjustment is like your ohms, okay? But you can adjust
Right. The curve.
to different motors. So then that's the first time that, okay, go back to the external resistor controllers. I had, 1 ohm external resistor for my wing cars, and I had 2 and 3 ohm external resistor controllers for my scale cars. Like maybe for Eurosports and flexi cars and stuff like that. So when the Ruddick came out, that kind of eliminated the need for a bunch of different controllers.
Right.
Because now was the first time you had one controller you could kind of run all cars on with different types of motors. And then the Omni or the Sidex
Right.
came out, which was originally was just a contact pad with some diodes on it
For a knob. That's what
clicker knob for sensitive. Well, that was for the brakes, and there was like a 3-way slider switch for sensitivity.
Yeah, because that's the controller that I had that weighed like 7 pounds.
Yeah, and you would take out your turbo resistor and you'd bolt that thing right in there. It was a great great product for if you wanted to keep your controller like under $50. That was the way to go. Okay,
so I think whenever I bought mine already assembled, and like you said, it had the big black knob.
Right.
And I think it also was one of the first controllers that had a fuse.
Probably.
I don't remember if that was that one or the Ruddick.
I mean, we would put fuses in line on our wires, not all three, but I'll have to dig out some controllers and look. But we would,
I think most people do them on the brake
wire.
Yeah.
If you hook the controller up wrong, it would blow the fuse instead of blowing the brake pot.
Right.
Okay. So the Omni, the Sidex Omni thing came out. And then DeFalco came out with what you're talking about, with the module up in the handle with the contact pad. And then, it depends on how many bands there was, because I think there was 8 bands, and they went to 10 bands, and then they went to 15 bands.
15. I think they're now at 30.
Yeah, they're 30. But the 8, the 10, and the 15s, which...
Get your picnic basket?
Oh. Okay, so this is a 15-band DeFalco.
Right, that's like the one I was talking about with the adjustable pots.
With the adjustable pots on the back. Okay, so not only did you have your sensitivity control,
right,
but if you got somewhere in your curve and like you felt that band was coming on too fast or too slow, you could go back here and you could adjust your potentiometer for that band or bands to go faster or slower. And I remember one time I was somewhere and was running and I was getting a screwdriver and I was getting ready to play with those, and Randy's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'll adjust a couple. No, don't touch that thing. Don't move now."
Yep.
I didn't change anything, and
I had one and like screwed it up.
Okay.
So the car's doing this number.
Okay. I never played with those. I mean, but that's what those were for.
Right.
And I never really seen many guys do that. But like I said, and because all you had was a sensitivity adjustment. Okay. And if you like I said, if you felt somewhere in that curve, like if you're on a track and you're trying to, you're going in a turn and you want it to come on quicker, but you don't want to have to mash the throttle because you just spin the tires.
Right.
You kind of speed that band up a little bit. But I mean, I never really did it, but that's what those were for.
I was gonna say it's kind of like the RC car days. You had the speed control, how you can adjust it.
Yeah. Right. Similar technology.
Yeah, I just thought about that. And I was like, yeah.
Okay, so then Ruddick, or not Ruddick, excuse me. Then DeFalco came out with the 30 band controllers, which had the changeable network, or what I
Right.
call a chip.
Yeah.
And because I was using that controller I just showed you like for a long time, mainly in retro racing. And then, and I'm not going to leave any other controller manufacturers out because, I mean, in that time frame, you had like Third Eye came out with controllers.
Right.
And, you know, there's been numerous companies that have come and gone in the controller thing. But, I mean, the three mainstays the last 10 years, 15 years has been Ruddick, DeFalco, and Third Eye when it comes to American controllers. Now,
Right.
you've got a whole bunch of other ones that's come in from
Yeah.
outside the country, and mainly in the last 5 years. But, I mean, there's a couple that were there that's been there for a long time, but they've kind of gone by the wayside as well. So, not doing a whole controller history thing, which we're not trying to
Yeah.
do. So when the 30 band DeFalco came out, we got one, and I hated that thing the first time. The first couple times I tried using it, yeah. So then Randy says, "Well, you can get different chips, and let's buy a different chip." And
Right. Yeah, because I think they come stock with a 148,
yeah,
don't
so
they?
with a 148. So I think we got a 113 chip, and it's like, oh yeah, I kind of like this controller,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
So, but it's still not. So then, you know, I think we got the 89 chip. And, you know, then I got a 136 and I got a 78, and life has been good ever since. So I've never went anywhere that I didn't feel I never went anywhere I didn't feel like my DeFalco was lacking as far as I mean, there's been a couple times super fast King Track. I got my 78 chip and I got my sensitivity all the way up to 10, and I'd like the controller to be faster. Well, the only way to do that's to have a chip made that's faster. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's only been a couple of times, but I still was okay with what I had. So, but then again, maybe if I switch to a Third Eye or a Ruddick, I might get faster a reaction.
Right.
With the way they're controlling.
That's what all I've ever had. I had a Rodic for the longest time.
Right.
Then I went to a 30 band DeFalco, and then I got rid of that and got a Third Eye. Then I ran with that a little bit and got rid of that and got another. I've kind of bounced around.
Right.
You know.
But I think for flat track racing, you know, something with a wire wound, it's really not a contact pad, but you know, it's just a wire wound
choke, or
not choke. I mean, it's where the wiper button rides on the what we would call it. But it's really not a resistor. But yeah, it's like a resistor, but wire wound, so it has a much smoother
curve or whatnot.
Right. Where I don't care if it's 10 bands, 30 bands, 25 bands. It's a stepped.
Right.
And I think for flat track racing, you want that smoother curve and delivery.
Well, that's like me. Whenever I had my trouble at the Flexi Flats, I was just kind of like, well, I'm kind of screwed now because I don't have a backup.
Right.
You know, and it definitely showed. You know.
I mean, I've used my DeFalco on flat tracks with like hard bodies or Flexi.
Well, I used my DeFalco up at Rogers for the Flexi Fiesta.
Okay. Yeah. So but
you know.
But if I was racing Eurosports or something like that, I would want something different. Now, like
more adjustability.
The Flexi Flats. You meant the Flexi Fiesta, or did you say that? Anyway, Flexi Flats down at.
I went to both.
Yeah, at the Flexi Flats, I tried my DeFalco. That was like it's just not going to work on this track.
Yeah.
And my Third Eye, like I've got some older Third Eyes. I mean, I should probably update, but then I'm not flat track racing that much, so I'm not worried about it. But I wound up using Rogers Karstein,
which
I don't think was perfect for me,
Hmm.
I didn't have much time with it. I mean, like,
Right.
I never changed anything on it. I just used it as,
Left it like it was. Yeah.
and but it worked by far better than anything else I had.
Because
So,
I started with a DeFalco, and then I ran my DeFalco, and then George had a Karstein, and I
right,
used it, and then I started like, I mean, I was up there a month beforehand, getting used to the
right,
controller and figuring out, all right, well, if I do this, and I felt like I was dialed in, I was happy,
right,
and then the day of the race, when the controller kind of took crap on me, I was like, well, I don't really have a backup plan. And then Chris Barnes, he had some, but I
right,
wasn't used to it because
right,
it just had a different feel,
right.
you know.
Yeah,
So
it's amazing how
it's the same controller, but they all.
well, yeah, and the biggest inconsistency in controllers is the controller spring.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
there's no two alike. I mean, you can have two identical controllers,
Hmm.
and they'll both have different springs, and it just
See, that was one thing that I had to get used to going from the DeFalco to the Karstein. Was the DeFalco had a stronger,
right,
and the Karstein had a softer.
right,
And I was just like, oh, I got to get used to that. And then me being a bank track racer, I'm used to being aggressive, and it's like, no, I got to finesse this thing until I
right,
get it figured out,
right.
or get the controller where I can be aggressive, but through the adjustments on the controller, it doesn't.
And like, I don't have any negative to say about foreign-made controllers, okay? Because there's really
No.
good pieces out there. The only problem, okay, so my first rule is once you find a controller and you like it, you should have a backup that's the same.
Right.
So that way, if you have a problem,
Lesson learned, because now I do.
you got your backup, okay?
Right.
So so it depends on what type of controller you have. That can be very expensive to have a backup, and it may
Right.
not be so as expensive. Like I mean, you can have two DeFalco controllers
Hmm.
for the cost of some of the top of the line
Right. Karstein. I mean, like
foreign
top. Yeah.
Karstein controllers. So okay, so like say some of them foreign controllers are like $1,000. So you're gonna have
Oh
two
yeah.
thousand
Yeah.
dollars and two controllers
Yeah.
to have a backup, okay?
Hmm.
Because the problem with the foreign controller is if you have a problem, you're gonna have to send it back overseas to get it worked on.
Yep.
You may not have your controller for a month or two.
Right.
And then where if you have an American controller, usually you'll have it back in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
So just things to think about when you go to invest in a controller.
Or it's
So
like I tell people, you know, there's a reason why there's part stores, because things break no matter what it
right.
is. You know.
But parts are no good if you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
So
Yep.
I mean, it's like the little old lady from Pasadena. The auto parts store is worthless to her when her car breaks down because she couldn't fix it if you went and gave her the parts. And the electronic controllers are something. I mean, you gotta know what you're doing before you start
Yeah,
messing.
I've heard a lot of people say, like, with the Falcos, they're more user friendly, and a lot of times it's stuff that they can figure out for themselves.
Right.
Then I've had some people even say a lot of times Howard's told them over the phone or through email how to fix their third eye.
Sure.
So it's like, well, that's cool. But then, like with mine, I had a Karstein, and it's like, well, Roger's like, this guy's in Denmark, and there's a time difference, and I may be able to get him on the phone, I may not. And I was just like, I'm not going to stress over it. I'll figure something out.
Right. I mean, everybody backs up their product. I can't say there's any
Oh
control
yeah,
out there
yeah.
that.
Because I mean, it's on the way back now, and I mean, to my knowledge, the only thing I have to pay is shipping.
Yep.
So it's
But
like however much it costs to ship there and ship back. That's all I got.
right. But at the same time, you've been with it what now? A month and a half, or close to a month and a half?
This was back in November, which obviously I gave it to Roger because he had all the contact and everything.
Sure.
So he flew back to Chicago, and I told him, it may have been done sooner. I said, hey, I'm not racing until after the new year, so there's really no rush, And I mean, you've known me long enough, but some people haven't. I don't get too, I guess, wound up over many things. There's a couple things I kind of get riled up about, but I mean, generally, if I say I'm in a hurry, I don't bother people.
Right.
Just like whenever you get to it, cool. You know what I mean? No problem.
Right.
And then there's some things where it's like, I'll pay next day. I need it.
Right. Right.
So it's like whichever. So, but I think I'll probably have it back next week, if not the week after or so. Like I said, I've honestly been in no. He may have it now. I don't know. I
Right.
haven't been in any hurry. So
Right. And then you
now,
haven't needed it so much either for the last.
no, but I
So
mean now first of the year we're looking at what 4 months to go for the Nats.
well, yeah, and you're going to be racing almost
Yeah,
every weekend. So
yeah. I'm gonna start going up there and pounding some more laps and getting it figured out.
right.
And since
So
then I've gotten the backup, so I'll probably send the backup just to kind of get maintenance done on it. So
there you go.
just like a car, gotta have maintenance.
So yeah. So let me grab the controller again. So I mean, basically, I guess some simple. I mean, if you're up, like you're up here on the controller, middle of the range here,
Hmm.
and you can't punch it, but you have to drive it through there, and it feels soft. Then either you need to speed up the sensitivity, like on this controller, there's a dial and it goes from 0 to 10. So if you're on 5 and it feels soft here, bump it up to 6 and see if that fixes it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
um, I always try and run my controller when I go somewhere and hook up and put my cars. I want to have my knob at 5.
Yeah, you're like me. I try to.
Now,
Normally I run full
of,
brake, and I'm at 5.
yeah, and I've got plenty of adjustability to go faster or to slow it down.
Right.
Because like I said, I mean, if I went to a track and I had in say my 113 chip and I had to turn it up to 10 to get the way I want to how I like the curve and everything, I would
Right.
then go put in my 89 and turn that back to 5.
Right.
And then if I didn't like that, I would go get my 78 chip and
Right.
because okay, if you have a DeFalco controller and you have different chips, here's a test you can do. Go out and get your controller where you like it, get going, and whatever chip you have in it, take it out and put in your next fastest or your next slowest chip. Don't change the sensitivity. Now drive your car, and you'll see a difference, or you'll feel a difference in the way the car acts and stuff.
Right.
And you'll say, "Oh, those chips do make a difference."
Yep.
And then
That's just like.
you got guys like Willie and Cap that like turn the sensitivity is 0.
Yep.
And the brakes full, and that's how they drive everything. It's like I don't know how they do it.
Yeah. Like Bobby, I can't. Like if I'm hooked up and Bobby's hooked up, Bobby can't grab my controller
Right,
and test his car,
right,
and I can't grab his controller, and test my car because he's a real soft
right.
and I'm more aggressive. There's been times where I'm like, how do you race this? And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, it's soft.
Well, a lot of guys will say, "Well, here, drive my car." I might be walking by the track, and I'll be like, "Here, come drive my car."
Yeah,
Wait a minute, I gotta go get my controller.
yeah, I was like, if you want me to give you an honest,
Yeah.
what's your car doing? I gotta have. And there's been maybe one time up at Randy's, Walker had his third eye hooked up. And I was like, hey, can I use your controller right quick? And he's like, yeah, and I'm running. I'm like, well, I actually like this.
Right.
And it was just one of them rare occasions
Right.
where I was like, wow. And he's like, what? And I was like, normally it takes I gotta go turning stuff, but no, like I literally picked it up and I was running and I was like, this is nice.
Well, I did that
And
one
then
time. We was somewhere and somebody had me drive their car and they had a new controller. Names will not be mentioned, and they said like, try this new controller. I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of been wanting to try one, and I went over and I'm like, man, this controller is nice.
right.
So we ordered 2 of them, and $600 later, like these things suck. Once we got them, and wow, no.
No. Wouldn't happen to be a race I was at, would it?
On that track, but man,
Right.
when we got them things right, it was like, wow, no dice.
No bueno.
Sold on the market.
See, that's just like, my Ruddick that I have is an older Ruddick that a lot of the wing car guys like. And I've had guys, offer me a good bit of money. And it's just like, that controller I've had for years, and it's one of them things. Bobby's like, don't you ever sell that controller. If you do, I'll buy it so it stays within that controller has literally been on fire. Did he ever tell you that story?
Yeah.
Or have I told you that story? Yeah, I'm in the pits working, got my controller sitting on the track. Somehow or another, the brake pot on my Ruddick got crossed up on one of the power terminals on the track. And Bobby said it was glowing red and was on fire. And like you could see where the handle was all melted. And I'm like, well, crap. And he's like, dude, clean it off and see if it still works. And I kid you not,
So
I
what?
cleaned the brake pot just because I was like, well, it's got to be glazed over. And he's like, oh, yeah, it was glowing red. I cleaned it up, kind of wiped off some of the smoke because it was actually smoking. He's like, what are you going to do about the handle? And I'm like, well, the handle's fine. It's on fire up here. I mean, later on I changed it, hooked it up, was running it. And he was like, same lap times as before. And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, I can't believe your controller was literally on fire and it still works. And I was like, yep. And that right there, that's when I said I'll never get rid of it.
Well, we had used Ruddix for years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't race for a while, then came back and started racing retros. And it was kind of weird because like I just could never really get the hang of the retro car with the Ruddick. Like it was either too fast or too slow. I could never find that sweet spot. So Randy says, well, maybe we just need to send them out to Ruddick and have him go through them, and because they had a lot of years on them, you know, and get everything cleaned and checked out. And so I boxed up 3 of them, and I called Dan up, and I said, hey, I'm going to send you these 3 controllers. I want you to just go through them, do your basic maintenance, and
check them out,
make sure. And he says, well, yeah, I'll put new pots in them. And I'm like, no, do not change the pots.
Right.
Okay, do not change the pots because
if they got that one that clicks.
Well, no, this was before the clicking deal, or maybe after. But anyway, that was one that. For a while with the Falco controllers, there was inconsistencies. Like he would change the pot, which had a different value, because we had got some Ruddicks from him, and we could not not make them work because. And I called him. I said, like, these do not work like the other ones. He goes, well, they have a different value pot in them. And I'm like, well, I can't get that value anymore. I don't know. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So we had a couple of Ruddicks that were kind of worthless. Like we could not use them for scale racing at all.
Right.
In-car racing, they were okay because you're just kind of
because see, I had my Ruddick, and then you remember Trace, he had a Ruddick also.
Right.
My Ruddick's the one that's got the brake that you can just turn, kind of like the DeFalco's, and his had the click, and I was like, I don't like that. But his was like, if you dialed in sensitivity on his was like real touchy, but that's how he liked it.
Right.
And he said he liked mine because mine was kind of medium, you know. He said it just had a smoother band. The whole, you know, which I got, I think mine's 9 or something like that. So he had one of the newer 18 bands or whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, I send the controllers in. I told him, well, I said, okay, if you're going to change the pots, then send the old pots back.
Right. So you change them back.
In case I didn't like what you put in there.
Right.
Controllers come back, new pots, no old pots. Call up, I'm like, where's my pots? Well, they're probably in the landfill by now.
Yeah.
Okay. So we went to the track. The controllers sucked. That's when I started running that 15 band DeFalco.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think I've tried Ruddick. Like I said, my Ruddicks, I mean, still sometimes, I mean, you've seen me before, you know. Yep. You and Bobby, Ruddick? Yeah, I'm just trying it, see, you know.
So, yep, I just never... So,
yeah, Ruddick, DeFalco, Omni, Third Eye. I've tried them all. Karstein, what is it? JG. I tried one of those one time.
Yep.
When they were kind of the popular thing. Then there was another one. Everyone called it like Thor's hammer because it had a bunch of dials up top and it was big.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tried one of those. I think I tried one of those when I was in New Jersey for the New Jersey Nats, and it was nice, but that thing. It was literally like holding a hammer. I was just like, that right there will wear you out more than being, you know, up on the wheel racing.
Right.
I don't even remember what else I've tried. I've tried all kinds of different ones. So.
Yep. So, DeFalco is what's been working for me.
Yeah, DeFalco for
the there's other stuff that would work, but you know, I'm gonna have to spend money to do it, and I don't feel like.
Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I mean, I'm happy with what I got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I wasn't happy with what I got, then I'd start searching.
Right. Yep. That's like me. I go to the Flexi Flats, the controller breaks, and it's like, all right, I need to have a backup. You know, I need to be better prepared. So I found a backup, reasonably priced, used, no problem. Now I have a backup.
Right.
DeFalco, luckily DeFalco, like you got 5 or 6 of them because you were one of the first ones. You can try one of those controllers. I got my basket full of them. Have at it, And I was like, let me see if we can figure out what's going on first. So,
Yep.
that'd probably be my next thing is a backup DeFalco, but then it's like I have that Ruddick, So I haven't tried the Ruddick on the flat track yet. Probably won't.
Right.
So now that I actually have
Well,
2 car seats.
That's like the deal with the Flexi Flats race. I mean, if Roger had been in the A main and I was in the A main, I don't know what I would have done for a controller because I was using his because he was in the B main, I was in the A main. So
yeah, because even you made the comment, hey, you could have qualified with his controller and then went from there.
Yeah.
It was all good. I mean, it was a learning experience.
Mid America lead wire number 2. I think I have one. No, I got 2. Rob Garland.
Oh, Rob.
Rob Garland.
It's a guy we both know.
The lead wire. I'm actually going to see Rob tomorrow, but I don't have the lead wires.
Yeah.
You bring it to
you going by the shop, or is he coming by your shop?
I'm going to go by his shop.
Gotcha. He'll be racing soon, won't he? Is he going down to Tracy's for the Hillbilly?
I would say he probably is, yeah.
Yeah, because I know him and Merle.
Yep.
They normally go.
Yep. So I would say, yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're going to go and use it as a warm-up for the World, so.
Right.
Yep. And as far as controllers go, I mean, not a lot of maintenance. Just make sure the contacts are clean and keep your contacts.
Here's a good one, too, that I've noticed is over the years, some people change their alligator clips.
Well, yeah.
Have you noticed that, like, the newer ones, the rivet that they put in there, it's, like, not pinched as good, and they split open, or that rivet falls out? You know what I'm talking about?
Well, when I sent my controllers into Ruddick and he went through them, he put all new alligator clips and everything, and I noticed that they were stiffer.
Right.
But that was the only thing that was the only difference I noticed.
Yeah, because I changed some myself.
Shiny.
Yeah. I changed some myself, and then I was looking at the rivet, and like the rivet goes through, and it was like the part that's supposed to be curled to kind of lock it in wasn't curled good.
Huh.
And then like over time, I was like, well, and then your alligator clips start doing this number here. And it's like, that's the last thing I want to happen is you go to hook up.
Right.
And it breaks. And it's just like, oh, what do I do?
Right. Well, and what I was going to say was another thing that you got to keep an eye on is where the wires are soldered to the guide clips because they're like a lead wire in a slot car after time.
Right.
You'll find you only got 3 strands together.
Yeah, I had that happen. I forget what race we were at, but I told the guy, I was like, dude, don't snatch your controller. Don't snatch your controller.
I was somewhere.
He got mad and snatched it. And there's, his.
I've seen guys do that, and there's clips are still on the posts.
Yeah, that's just like, dude, spend all your money.
Somewhere, it was about a year ago. And I
may have been the same race we were in. We may have been because
Anyway, I went to unhook my controller at the end of the heat, and the brake wire came off the alligator clip.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I got time to fix this.
Right.
So I went to the next lane and I stripped the insulation off some of the wire and I put it down and I used the alligator clip to hold that.
Hey, there you go. That's a tech tip of the week here.
Yeah. So I finished the race that way, and then I went over and fixed my controller for the next race.
I bet that was pretty.
Because
I wasn't there. Because me, if I was there, I'd have been like,
because you can't get the stuff out of there that was.
Oh yeah.
So I'm saying so I kept for the next 3 or 4 or 5. Well, I remember.
That's funny.
Yeah, it worked.
Hey.
So then I had to find and then I think the bigger challenge was trying to find a new alligator clip.
Yeah, there was one time where I think Parma had some really good ones, and then the ones that I've seen recently are just, my opinion, they're just junk. Then I thought about going to like a hardware store, but it's just like, is that the same thing?
Either they've changed vendors or maybe the vendor made a bad batch.
Right, yeah. Because it's just like, I don't like them. I'm just afraid that it's going to fall apart because just like when you
Yeah, I know
like
what you're saying.
one batch, the brass was like just there was nothing there. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Well,
I went to go just I was just playing with it. I get fidgety, and sometimes you'll see me on the show. I'll take these things and I'll
okay.
have them out of camera, and then it's like I opened it and bent it, and I'm just like, what the hell, you know?
Okay, so alligator clips are so archaic, along with controller posts on a track. Like when you go overseas and race, most tracks commercial have a plug,
Right.
okay,
hmm
for your connection versus open alligator.
That right.
And what's always it's what has amazed me for over 30 years, as I mean, you've seen it where someone sets a car down, shorts out across the post, you got arcing and sparking, and
It happened to my remember. I think we were at Durham, and I was like, my controller is wide open. And you
yeah.
were like, yeah, this and this shorted out. Did you touch the post? And I was like, I don't recall. And you're like, well, did you hook it up backwards? And I'm like, I may have.
Well, okay, so what's really surprised me is no one's got, and they don't have to get seriously hurt, but just, a burnt finger and file a lawsuit.
Right.
Okay. Because, like, I mean, I don't know all the laws out there, but to me, that's just like, that is just an invitation asking for trouble. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I didn't get in trouble at Archdale because I mean, my controller was on fire. What would
Right.
what would
Okay.
happen if the track caught on
And
fire?
the next problem is people who come up backwards and the controller catches fire. Okay.
Right.
If,
Yeah, I've
if
seen
you don't-
that.
Okay.
Yeah, and you got it in your hand.
Right. Okay. And one of the worst things I ever seen slot racing where someone got hurt at a slot car track was a friend of mine hooked his controller up backwards.
hmm
Then the power came on. He's racing, and he didn't realize it, but his controller. Because I was marshaling in the dead man. I look over and I'm like, "Dude, your wires are glowing on your controller."
Right.
And he looked down, and his nature instinct was to grab the wires
Yeah. Yep.
and yank them. Well, it was the Parma turbo wire, which is like
Right.
PVC. It's not
Yeah.
silicone, okay?
Right.
When he grabbed that, all that plastic melted to his hand, and I can still see his face to this
Yeah.
day of how much pain he was in. Okay,
Right.
and I
Kind of
mean,
like the hot cheese to the top of your mouth.
yeah, I mean, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, like, oh, I can just imagine what that feels like.
Because
And
like you said, I've done it before, just natural instinct.
right,
I've did it before in the shop welding something, and it goes like to roll off, and you're
Right.
not thinking. You're just like, oh, and it's just like, yeah, that was stupid.
yeah. So a plug would have eliminated that. Okay, and of course the industry has always struggled. What is the correct type of plug?
Right.
The standardized plug would be to use. And over the years, I've seen, you know what a microphone cable looks like that plugs into a microphone, like a Shure.
Yeah. As a male.
Yeah, it's a male or female, but I mean, it's like
Right.
it's a very unique plug in male and female. And I've seen tracks that's had the Shure mic cable.
Right. Right. They look like, what is it, a RCA cable for like a guitar going into an amp? Kind of
No,
looks like that.
I've seen those. Okay, I've seen those.
Yeah, like I said, I've seen some that just looks like a regular plug, like you plug into the.
Right. That's a phono jack, is what you're talking about.
Right.
And a Shure microphone cable jack is different.
Right.
And I've seen raceways use the three, like a wall plug,
Yeah.
plug in a socket.
Doesn't World's track have that where you can plug it in, then he's got the 3 plug?
Well, yeah, he's got some kind of config. Okay, but the problem with using a wall outlet plug
Right.
is if you had a controller with that on it, you took it home and your kid, let's say you got a 2 or 3 year old kid and they find it, and
Yeah.
you in the wall, bazap. Okay,
Yeah.
well that's the only bad thing about using a wall plug. Okay,
Right.
but I've seen tracks use those for like the rental controllers,
Right.
because again, the kids can't hook the controllers up backwards.
Right. Or they can't pull them off.
Right.
I've seen that happen
Right.
before too.
Now, you still have the problem if they were to lay something on the controller hookups, the posts,
Right.
they can still short out. So you haven't. But I think that someday our industry will, come up with a good plug system,
Right.
and everybody would convert to it. And I think that would make things a lot easier and therefore probably safer
Yeah.
for everybody, and eliminate the, oh, I hooked my controller up backwards, or someone hooked it up backwards for me, or
Or sometimes the boxes that they have, they just sit there
right,
sometimes, and they're made out of what, like aluminum or
right,
whatnot.
yeah, because you could
Yeah.
simply disconnect your posts if you put plugs in.
Hmm.
If you had a track that had posts, I mean, you could unwire them and take them out, or you could just unwire them and leave them there.
Right.
But
And if you had plugins too, there wouldn't be nothing sticking up, so there's no way of anything shorting out, right?
right,
Because it just okay.
right,
Whereas now we either got I've seen the what do you call it, keyhole rings.
right. Well, Mark's Model World has holes in the panel. You got to stick the clip down to catch the eye, circle eyelet, which is the
Yeah.
post. So anything above there would not short out.
Right. Yeah,
'Cause it's
some
not
tracks got just a post. Too many tracks. I'm trying.
right. Well, like I
You go to
said,
so many different tracks and they have different things. Some of them had the little, I call them like the little circle you stick it in. And some
right,
people, it just depends on which way you go. And some of them just have the post.
right.
Yeah.
But maybe someday the industry will get it right, and we'll go to plugs.
You can be all high tech and take your meter and see if there's any kind of power loss from either or. I'm sure someone's did that or no.
I don't think there is.
No.
I mean, you got a round post and you put that alligator clip on there. There's not much contact
Yeah.
there. You're just a couple of
That
pointy
teeth.
teeth
Yeah.
on this round brass or copper or bronze post. I mean,
And then plugging it in, it's like, well, you got the whole plug, you're making more contact. Is that better or vice,
right. Now I can see over time you might have to replace some plugs as they would get
worn out?
but
Right.
I don't know.
It's
But then
good talk.
again, there's other plugs you could use too. I mean, when I say plugged, I'm thinking of a wall
So
top.
luckily, the race you were at didn't have a plug in, because then that'd be kind of hard shoving the wire in there and then trying to shove the plug in there for your brake.
Yeah, I know.
It was kind of beneficial that it was an alligator clip, because you can just be like, hey, all right.
Well, yeah.
So,
Yep.
more tech tips.
But I think if you had a plug that the wires went into,
Mm-hmm.
and then it had a strain relief, you wouldn't have to worry about those wires breaking up inside a plug.
Right. Just make sure it's soldered in real good and crimped real good and all that good normal stuff.
Yep.
That'd be a good how-to controller maintenance.
It's on my list.
Controller maintenance. Tire touring maintenance. I know it's off topic, but I still remember to this day, Bobby it was at the Division I Nats in Atlanta. Bobby wasn't racing, and he was like, what can I do to help you? Because Bobby's not one. He can't sit still. He has to be doing something. And I was like, well, true my tires and durometer my tires. And he's over there, and he's looking, and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, dude, this tire true you got is the biggest piece of junk I've ever seen you have. I'm like, what's wrong with it? And you know how, like, on the Huddies, they got the shaft that goes through? He, like, grabs it, and he's doing this with it. And I'm like,
wobble, yeah.
yeah. He's like, have you ever replaced the bearings on this thing? And I'm like, I haven't.
No, I haven't.
And he was like, you being who you are, he was like, I can't believe this. He was like in shock that I had something that was that worn out.
Right.
I was like, I never thought about it. I went on Amazon and found some bearings that matched the measurements and everything like that. And back in business. I think a month later, I was like, all right, here you go. Check it out for you. He's like, perfect. Good to go.
All right, last one, and we're going to wrap it up.
Gotcha. I even got the magic word, the word of the show, or however.
And our final winner for some good old brand new Mid-America lead wire is James Merriman. I know that.
James.
James Merriman. So Rob Garland and James Merriman and Charlie Reisner need to contact Roger at Mid-America for your free lead wire. So, but that's all I got for this week.
Yep. You know me, I normally just kind of go with the flow. Every now and again, I'll have a topic. So,
and we'll see everybody next year.
Oh yeah, are you doing anything, or are you staying
Happy
home?
New Year. Oh, no, I'm just staying in.
That's me. We used to go out and do stuff, and I might.
Well, let's put it this way. I have no plans. I'm not going to say I'm not going out. I just don't.
Right.
I have no plans at the moment. So last year I had no plans. I got a call to go to someone's house, and we played some board games and stuff like that. So
There you go. If my neighbors across the street, they break out the cornhole boards, and I hear them kind of hooting and hollering, I might go out there and have a couple drinks with them, and that's about it.
Other than that, I'm going to probably be here working on slot cars or something slot car related.
The week after that, the FNRS race.
2 weeks after that.
Is it 2 weeks? Yeah, because that, yeah.
The 12th.
All this half week, short weeks has me. I was thinking today was Friday. I was thinking yesterday was Monday.
Oh, today feels like Friday.
Yeah, that's like when we were talking yesterday. I was like, I'll do the show, but I kind of don't want to. I just wanted a day to kind of like.
Yeah, no, it was all good.
Yeah,
we talked about taping it on Christmas Day late, and then
and then it was like we can do it Tuesday, and I can have one of my nephews on the show, just kind of hang out, cut or whatnot.
But it didn't work out, so here we are. A day late, maybe $1 ahead. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll buy some ice cream.
3 people are lead wire ahead, so there you go. All right, well, if you're going out this weekend racing, be safe. And then when you get back on Monday, be safe again if you're out and about. Happy New Year.
I would say if you go somewhere and you need someone to pick you up, I would come get you, but everyone lives far away. So
that'd be Monday.
Monday.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah. No drinking and driving.
No drinking
Uber,
and driving.
Lyft. All that good stuff.
Okay.
Secret word of the show.
That's on you.
Controller. Figure that was our biggest topic.
Okay.
So,
a non-topic that turned into be a topic.
Yep.
All right. Well, everybody have a safe and happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We'll see you next year, next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Okay.
2019.
2019. It's a new year.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We're out. Goodbye.